So Allie Stuckey, of course, is a Christian and a pro-life, avid pro-life supporter. And she's also on The Blaze. She's got her own podcast, her own show, and all that stuff. And recently, she spoke with a guy named Brandon Roberts. Now, Brandon Roberts, I've said in the past, is somebody who kind of cosplays as a Christian pastor, very clearly a liberal progressive. And he just recently came on Allie's show to give the defense for a quote-unquote Christian pro-choice stance. So I'm going to show you just a little bit of that show here.
So first, I'm just going to open it up to you. If you could just briefly kind of summarize why you consider yourself pro-choice, why you believe that abortion should be a legal option for women.
Yeah, I think abortion is a morally complex issue. And one thing that I always have said about abortion is that I don't know any progressive person that wants to see abortion increased. We all want to see it decreased. I think the question is about how we do that. And so I believe that there are many instances in which women should have the right to access abortion care. There are many instances, both from a faith perspective historically and from modern scientific perspective, about why women should have access to abortion.
Okay, before we jump into substantively to Brandon Roberts' response here, I just want to pinpoint a word for you really quick so that you can be careful about it. The word nuanced. This is merely just a way to cover up a bad thought through position with pseudo-intellectualism. Well, it's very nuanced, and you see, you have to be very intelligent to get this and think really deeply about this. That's just a bunch of verbiage that doesn't mean anything. In fact, the most intelligent people are able to take something that's difficult and make it very succinct. So whenever you hear this, please remember, the most intelligent people do not use this nuanced term as an excuse to try to get away with a very, very bad and very, very poorly thought through position. These people are merely trying to muddy the waters on purpose. This happens a lot in the trans community. Well, trans health is actually a very nuanced field. No, it's not. No, it's not. You guys you butcher people, period. All right, so the progressive movement, then also too, because kind of getting back more substantively to the point, the progressive movement seems to totally have lost our buddy Brandon a long time ago, like all the way back in the 90s, because they used to say safe, legal, and rare. Like that used to be the position, that they were interested in trying to make abortions very rare, but they are no longer. So Brandon is just wrong here. Now, if that's his personal stance, we'll get some questions for him specifically. But in terms of progressives being safe, legal, and rare, that is just not true anymore. And I can prove it to you because they are no longer calling it even safe, legal, and rare. They want to make it safe, legal, and accessible, according to a report that was released by the pro-choice caucus in the Democratic Party just recently. So they replaced the word rare with the word accessible. So they want safe, legal, and accessible. All this has been done because rare is a contradiction in terms. To imply that it needs to be rare means that there's a moral conundrum involved in abortion. And if so, then the question is not should it be rare, but should it be done at all? And the Democrats can't afford to admit that there's a moral conundrum with murdering a baby in the womb. Because the question is like, why rare? Why should it be rare? So rather than use the word rare, they say, let's make it safe, legal, and accessible. So case in point, Schumer's bill, the Women's Health Protection Act, does not codify Wade. We already talked about this. It doesn't codify Roe v. Wade. What it does is it expands it radically. So the Democratic Party is not interested in trying to make abortions rare. They're trying to make it accessible, right? They just showed that with what they just voted on. So I don't know if this interview was done prior to this Schumer thing or not, but it's clear that Brandon doesn't know what he's talking about in terms of the progressive movement. It seems merely that he's trying to suggest, he's trying to avoid the consequences of his actual belief, to say, well, you conservatives, you say this is what we believe, but it's not what we believe. Yes, it is. Yes, it is exactly what you believe. Now, it may not be what Brandon believes, so let's get to Brandon, because we have something to say about that too. So let's just say Brandon wants safe, legal, and rare. So safe, legal, and rare, well, then it brings up the question, why rare? And this is why the Democrats are moving away from this. If it is rare, then why should it be rare? Is it rare because we know that what's inside of a woman's body is a baby? Oh, forgive me, totally insensitive of me. I should step back and say, pregnant person's body is a baby? Is that why it should be rare? Because if it is rare and we're willing to accept the obvious presupposition that what's inside of a woman's belly is a baby, then all of the arguments of the left crumble to the ground. The my body, my choice argument crumbles to the ground when you say it's not just your body in your body, because there's another body in there, and that's the body of your baby. So it's not your body, your choice. It's your body with another body that you don't have the right to do anything about. So what we have there then is this idea of, even in the case of rape, even in the case of incest, does the baby that's inside of you have to pay the moral price of something that was done to you by somebody else? Shouldn't the criminal pay that price rather than the baby? Because if it is a baby in the belly, then clearly we know the answer to this question. The baby is not criminally responsible for something that it has no control over. And we say, well, what about the emotional trauma of somebody that has to raise the baby of their rapist? Again, you don't get to kill somebody because they create emotional trauma. I don't want to diminish the emotional trauma here because I could say many things about that. So I'll just simply say this, is that if it's a baby and we agree with that, and that's why we say rare, then we've got a real problem here, Brandon. The point is that you cannot be a Christian and call yourself pro-choice unless you are deeply, deeply deceived. Can you be a Democrat and a Christian? Sure. Can you be a pro-choice Democrat and a Christian? No. Because Jesus said this, if you love me, you obey my commands. And this is my command, that you love each other, that you love one another. And love has no greater one than this, that a man lays down his life for another. See? The way that you love people is by laying down your life for them, not by making sure that you risk somebody else's life so that you can have a better life. But this is the argument that so much of the pro-choice community rests abortion on. They say, well, the life of the mother. Well, the life of the mother truly is important and truly important in the eyes of God. But you cannot obey Scripture and risk another person's life to save your life when Scripture clearly commands us to lay down our life for the sake of other people's lives. And I'm not merely even talking about health of mother here, because quite frankly, the 0.5% of abortions in the past that take place because of this issue, which, by the way, those are old statistics, they really don't happen. Modern science has moved to the place where there is no need to have an abortion to save a mother's life. Now, the baby may still be aborted in the process of trying to save the baby's life, if that makes sense. The baby may still die, but you don't have to. Ask every OBGYN in your city. You don't have to abort the baby to save the mother's life. So I digress. But the point is this. So what we're really talking about is just simply a matter of convenience. I'm not ready. I don't have enough. The baby is unexpected or unplanned. And what about my college career? And isn't this going to be a damper on those things? And so the reality is in good conscience, you can't call yourself a Christian and clearly disobey the commands of God, which tell you to lay down your life for the sake of another person's life. And clearly this is the case in abortion. And so for that very reason, I have to tell Brandon this and other pro-choice Christians. Friend, not today. You can catch brand new episodes of Indie Thinker with Reed Huberman every Monday and weekly bonus episodes to keep you thinking throughout the week. But you have to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when new episodes drop. If you enjoy this content, make sure to like this video and share it with friends.